Fox News alert, it's decision time. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper has just briefed the president in the Situation Room about what could be the final blow. The U.S. military is preparing for a short and powerful wave of strikes. Targets include the enemy's remaining military assets, leadership, and infrastructure.
Iran is proving to be very stubborn. The talks seem like they are stalled. Are you getting antsy to break the ceasefire?
Well, I mean, I don't know what stubborn is, because really nobody knows what the talks are except myself and a couple of other people. They want to make a deal badly.
In case the Iranians needed a little nudge, the Pentagon's contemplating bringing a brand new weapon to the battlefield, the mother of all hypersonics, the Dark Eagle. It can hit targets 2,000 miles away. The enemy's last ballistic missile launchers are in the crosshairs. B-1 bombers have been surging into the region, and they can be armed with up to 5,000 pounds of hypersonics. It's a big payload. We're about to hit day 60 of the war. And if we're going by the book, and if you're asking Congress, that means the deadline for Operation Epic Fury expires tomorrow. But Trump could also do what Clinton and Obama did and ignore Congress and keep firing. The Secretary of War says technically we paused the clock 2 weeks ago.
Is the president intending to either seek congressional authorization for the war in Iran or send us the legally required certification that he needs an additional 30 days to remove U.S. forces?
We are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire.
If Kane's right, that means Trump has 24 hours. The president's being presented with options. On top of airstrikes, Admiral Cooper also reportedly briefed the president on seizing the strait, a ground assault on the coastline and strategic islands, which would be a shame for Iran because today they're celebrating Persian Gulf Day. Here's a quote from the gay Ayatollah. Foreigners who come from thousands of kilometers away with greedy intentions have no place there except at the bottom of the waters. Tough talk from a guy with no lips. And the only ships at the bottom of the water are Iranian. We've also turned around 44 vessels heading into and out of their ports. We even seized some. What's the regime done about it? Nothing, because they can't. The troops aboard the USS New Orleans have been enforcing the embargo in the Arabian Sea, intimidating any possible blockade runners. The USS Gerald Ford still seeing action. It's stationed in the Red Sea. We have 3 carriers in the region and a lot of firepower. The State Department's drumming up an international naval alliance in conjunction with Central Command to secure safe passage through the strait, and Friday's the deadline to get on board. We'll see if we have any takers. But America's alliances are ironclad compared to Iran's. A new Middle East is forming, and all the regime can do is watch. The Arabs and the Jews are forging a military and financial alliance. Israel just shared the Iron Dome system with the UAE. First time Israel's ever been that generous with the system. And OPEC is starting to break. The UAE just became a free agent, and they're building pipelines that skip the strait. Iran's sugar daddies, Russia and China, they're on the sidelines. You want to talk about a quagmire? Putin's getting nowhere in Ukraine, and China's economy is starting to crack. The whole Indo-Pacific is swimming with American sailors. Our special forces there have been conducting search and seizure training exercises along our Philippine allies. What are we hearing from the Iranians? They're begging us to drop the blockade. And the gay Ayatollah just announced he's going to guard his nuclear tech like his borders. President Trump says, sure you are.
We want to get the nuclear dust. It's way down there. You need excavators and everything to get it. But we want to get it. We'll take it one way or the other. We'll get it. We'll either get it or we'll take it.
CENTCOM's already drawn up a plan to seize the uranium. The CENTCOM commander briefed the president on that today, so we're ready. The Iranians aren't.
It's actually seditious, in my opinion. You read the New York Times, you actually think they're winning the war. They're sitting in a cave and all their leaders are dead. Everyone's dead around them. Missiles are all over the place. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no nothing. We can fly right over the middle of Tehran without being shot at because they have no anti-aircraft. They have nothing. And they're reading that they're winning the war. They're trying to figure it out. They get the New York Times, I guess, in some form, and they think we're crazy.
Usually the country with the dead leaders and no military are the ones who lost. You know, the ones whose country's surrounded by aircraft carriers and can't trade. But if the Times can't define what a woman is, I'm not surprised they can't see victory. Senator Dick Blumenthal, who lied about fighting in Vietnam but is still somehow a senator, says the terrorists have us exactly where they want us.
America never succeeds in war unless the American people are behind it. And if what you're seeing as success now is winning, I would hate to see what losing looks like.
The negative nature in which you characterize the incredible and historic effort in Iran is part of the reason, Senator, why the American people view it the way they do. It's why I looked out at our press corps at the Pentagon and called them the Pharisees in the press. And it's defeatist Democrats like you that cloud the mind of the American people.
The Falcons were beating the Patriots 28-3. But they had Tom Brady. All Iran has is the gay Ayatollah, and he has no legs, lips, and missiles that can't shoot straight. Secretary of War Hegseth was on the Hill today for round 2. And guess whose side Democrats are on?
There's no evidence that we are safer because of this war. We did not have any evidence that Iran intended to imminently attack this country in any way, shape, or form. So I disagree with your assessment that we are under threat.
Do you not believe them when they say death to America?
Listen, our adversaries use rhetoric all the time.
The Iranians have been screaming death to America at the top of their lungs for 50 years, and the Democrats are just saying, yeah, they don't really mean it. All those Iranian missiles we took out, what does she think they were for? Decoration? The Democrats have no credibility on safety. All these people getting raped and murdered is because Democrats either let criminals into the country or keep letting them out of jail. Pocahontas didn't even want to talk about the war. All she wanted to talk about was war crimes, the white-collared kind.
The Financial Times reported that your broker tried to buy hundreds of shares in a BlackRock fund invested in defense companies just before the war began. The law clearly prohibits the Secretary.
That entire story is false, has been from the beginning, and was made up out of whole cloth. And anybody that looks at it sees how it was worded from the beginning to make it look like I was involved in something I had nothing to do and never have. I'm not looking for money. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for profit. I don't do it for stocks. And that's part of the reason why I'm able to be effective in this job, because no one owns me.
Warren wants to make Pete into the Wolf of Washington.
Did you, through your broker at Morgan Stanley or otherwise, seek to invest in any defense-related funds right before Trump started the Iran war?
I'll give it to you as a big, fat negative.
Then let me ask you a second question. Is your broker getting your personal sign-off on any investment in individual stocks?
Bigger, fatter, negative.
He's not getting your sign-off before he makes investments in defense stocks? Can I refer you to your
I'm not making investments,
agreement?
Senator.
Nancy Pelosi's worth $300 million. Why doesn't Warren walk down the hall and ask her about insider trading? They didn't just want to put Pete in prison. They want to fit him for the guillotine.
Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
Seth's still frazzled that Pistol Pete double-tapped some coke boats. You seeing a pattern here? Democrats don't want to kill cartels or terrorists. They want to kill an American for fighting them. The military has done an outstanding job. If the Democrats want to attack the administration about anything, attack them about the price of gas. That's in bounds. That's fair, I guess, even though they had gas prices much higher.
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world.
The president knows war isn't cheap and high gas prices are painful, but the thinking is no pain, no gain. And he understands driving seasons around the horizon and wants to finish the job. The market had one of its best days of the year today. The Dow was up 800 points. NASDAQ and S&P closed at all-time highs. Earnings from companies like Caterpillar, huge. And the labor market looks rock solid.
Initial jobless claims hitting the wires at 189,000. 189,000. Wow, that is truly incredible. We're looking at levels truly that we probably haven't seen since the late 60s. This is very, very incredible.
So far, despite the gas price spike, the American economy is weathering the war really well. Iran's economy? They're stripping steel off Ferris wheels to build shopping carts to haul cosmetics into the gay Ayatollah's cave. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.